everyone, my name is Celine and welcome to the first video on my new YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be doing a review and swatch video of the new Too Faced Natural Love palette, which I purchased from Mecca here in Australia for $85. So in this palette you get 7 matte shadows and 23 shimmer or glitter shadows, and pretty much all in neutral tones aside from a few pops of pink and copper. The packaging's really nice. The front has like a velvet sort of embossing on it, and you also get a really large mirror, which is good. And on the back there's just a bit about the evolution of this palette from the Natural Eye palette. So first I'm going to swatch this palette just using my finger, and then later on I'll show you some brush swatches as well. As you can see with this first row, pretty much all of the light mattes are really chalky and they're not that impressive, to be honest. This colour Pink Sheets has got a bit of glitter in it. This fourth one, Poodle, is probably the best in the row because it's a satin, and as you can see it's heaps more pigmented than the rest. Overall, this row is not anything special and it's not very good at all, to be honest. Okay, so this glitter colour Fairy Tale in this second row is really bad. I don't know if a glitter glue would make it any better, but it barely has any pigmentation and barely shows up anything at all. The rest of the rows though is pretty good. Cutie Patootie, the fourth one on this row, is one of my favourites in the palette. It's a really nice shimmery shell pink. And Honey Butter, the last one, is also a really good warm matte transition colour. So overall this row is pretty good, just Fairy Tale's a real dud for me in this palette. So for the next row, Nudie is just a really good cool brown that you can use for a transition as well. Overall this row is pretty good. Honeymoon, the last one in the row, is another dud for me as well, to be honest. Just in the pan it looks like a really nice bright shimmery coral gold colour, but when you swatch it it's not that bright and it really lacks pigmentation as well from what I was expecting. This fourth column in the palette is definitely my favourite. All of the shadows perform pretty well, to be honest. Honey Pot's a really nice shimmery gold that looks really good all over the lid. And Moonbeam is a really pigmented, like cool taupe colour as well. This last shade, Hot and Bothered, is really impressive. It's this beautiful warm red copper shade and it shows up really well. So this next row, it's starting to get into the more deeper colours. They're pretty good. The colour Chocolate Martini is kind of like one that's got more of a matte base with just lots of glitter throughout, so it's kind of got that gritty feeling to it. Love Bug's a really nice purpley tone that shows up really well. The last colour, Makeup and Chill, is a dark matte brown. This one I was expecting more from. As you can see in the swatch, it's pretty sheer, and I was expecting like a really rich pigmented colour, so that was a little bit of a letdown. These top ones of the row, Fingers Crossed and Undercover, are also that gritty sort of glitter formula. This one here, Smokin', is really disappointing as well. In the pan it's this beautiful like gunmetal shimmer and it just barely shows up on the arm. The matte black though, Stiletto, was pretty impressive, so I think that's definitely a standout in the palette. So here are the swatches from that last row, and now I'm going to get into brush swatches. So I'm going to be using just a e.l.f. shader brush and a colour switch as well, just to clean off my brush in between swatches. As you can see, for the light mattes in this first 2 rows, they kind of perform the same as the finger swatches. Not much shows up, to be honest. The shimmers though are a lot worse with the brush. You're definitely going to have to apply them with a finger if you want them to stand out like they did in my previous swatches. As the colours get darker, they get a little bit better. But again, as you can see, a lot of these colours would need Fix Plus or something just to make them pop more. That red colour, Hot and Bothered, that looked so good in the finger swatch, barely shows up with a brush. As the colours get darker, they definitely get better. As you can see here, these ones, they're not too bad. And if you were to pat them on your eye rather than stroking them like I'm doing here, they would definitely show up pretty well on the lid. When I finished filming my swatches, I noticed that in my palette there was a lot of fallout, and a lot of the matte colours in particular had just powder all over them in the pan. So I just wanted to show you guys that. It's something to keep in mind. So overall, I give this palette a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's definitely got a really nice colour selection, and most of the shimmers perform pretty well, and most of the darker mattes do as well. There's just a few duds. Those glittery shades just don't do it for me. And the light mattes as well, I wish were a lot more pigmented. I do recommend picking up this palette though if you're a makeup collector or a Too Faced collector, because there's definitely, I would say, more than half of the palette is good quality. There's just a few duds for me, like I said, that I wish for the price as well they would have been a bit better quality. Thank you so much for watching this review. I hope you found it helpful, and I'll see you in my next one.